Hello folks and welcome. So today's video is going to be about SpiralLinux Xfce desktop. And this is meant for new users. It's new user tips, whether you're brand new to Linux, whether you're brand new to Spiral or Xfce desktop. I'm going to give you some tips on usage. Before I do that though, I'm going to take you on a quick tour over to DistroWatch and give you information about this distribution. So SpiralLinux, hopefully, let's see, resizing that, maybe that size. I'll do 150, that might be good. So SpiralLinux just upgraded all of their desktops on 10.2. Today's date is October 8. So the SpiralLinux is out of United States, and it's a Debian-based system. They offer several desktops. Xfce is the one I'm using today, and Xfce desktops are very popular. They're also more forgiving on older computers, as opposed to KDE Plasma, not so much. You need a little bit more horsepower. They do offer live medium, so you can test drive this at spirallinux.github.io. I do not use the popularity factor on DistroWatch at all, but I do appreciate them putting this stuff together. I do like the layout. SpiralLinux, you only get the one desktop wallpaper and one mouse cursor. So they're focusing with a focus on simplicity. Out of the box usability across all major desktop environments. Well, I can basically say the Xfce is what I test drove, and I found that to be true. Is this a beginner system, medium, advanced? Actually for everyone. But I'm going to give you the tips from an aspect of a new user. So I will say Alt and F4 and welcome. 6.4 series kernel, Xfce 418.1. It is based on Debian 12 bookworm. If you are wondering what I'm using for a computer, I'm using a tower computer with an AMD Ryzen 5 with an AMD graphics card, a Radeon RX 550, 4 GB video card. This looks very nice in 4K. This looks very nice in 4K. However, I am filming in 1920 by 1080. Just didn't want to spare you the smaller icons on the video part. But since I'm filming in 1920 by 1080, I know a lot of your YouTube players default to 460. You may want to check that with your gear symbol on your YouTube player. So that's why I emphasize why I'm filming in certain resolutions. Because I do that occasionally myself. Alt and F4 and continue. So let's first talk about the menu. Icon sizes, resizing the box, that kind of thing. So I can resize the box and I can resize the icons. So the mouse cursor that you get with this is not this one. You get only one. They're a little frugal when it comes to mouse cursors. Only one, black and white one. That one is installed in USR share icons. This one is installed in dot icons. I put that myself in there. So you can watch some of my videos on that if you want to become a subscriber. And I have 230 plus videos to offer you. And when you do become a subscriber, go check the community tabs out to do keyword searches on my videos if you don't know how. I also have a lot of links in my about section. Let me continue now. Now that we got this mouse business out of the way. And you're probably wondering, well, why am I using this yellow one? You'll see in a second, because I like to do a couple of little tricks to point out things with it, because it's nice and bright and colorful. But more importantly, I'm going to talk about adding two icons down here. One will be a dedicated shutdown with a timer, 60 seconds and a restart. The general key here does the shutdown, restart, and log out, suspend, and switch user if you click on them. I'll also show you how to make one of these and throw it on your desktop and even on the panel. So let's start that ball of wax. Right click, properties. Let's first talk about the sizes of these icons. Now that you know that you can resize these on the fly, right? All right, so we have the very dinky, is what I call it, very small. There's that size. And we have jumbo, which is very large. Okay, little, kind of too big if you ask me. Somewhere in between, maybe normal. That looks good. We have also different ways of doing things, and you can play with the opacity. I don't really care for these things. But let me add the dedicated shutdown and restart. That's done through commands. This is called the whisker menu. So it's one more time, right click, properties, whisker menu, commands. I don't recommend editing these, so just activate them. Shut down, restart, close. Now you have a dedicated 60-second, and you can walk away from the computer. You don't have to click anything, unless you want to force it to shut down now, or you can hit cancel. Same thing with the restart. There's some additional buttons you can turn on too. All right, do you want to make a new one of these on your desktop and possibly add it to the panel? Well, let's talk about that. Right click anywhere on your desktop, create launcher. Type in log. I know some of you folks know how to do this, but this again is meant for brand new users. So click the second statement, create a launcher logout, and then hit the create button twice, twice. I'm just going to pull it to the center so you can see it. Logout, restart, shutdown, switch user, suspend. Do you want this on the panel? Right click, open with, create launcher on panel. This icon is now independent from this one. Okay, you can see it functions. This functions. I get rid of it. And this is still here. So you can keep the one, or you can only throw it in the corner. No, you can still move it. You can put it over here if you like. You can throw it over here if you like. Okay. Right click, move. I'll stick it underneath my subscription key as a reminder. So again, over 230 videos on all kinds of tips and tricks. So speaking of, let's continue. Well, how about if we quickly talk about software? You have some stuff installed, but you may want to think about others. So let's talk about Synaptic Package Manager, or what they call Package Manager here. It has over 64,000 plus packages for you to install. It is coming from the Debian bookworm. So you got lots of toys you can click on. It does not have Flatpak software here, but this one does. Okay, so again, this is Synaptic Package Manager. Not preferred by brand new users, maybe this one is, because this is like the software store. You click, it's point and click. It also has an updater in here too, by the way. So the software store also contains the same software that the Synaptic Package Manager has. However, it also has some additional stuff called Flatpak software that comes from flathub.org. Now, on their website, on flathub.org, there's currently 32 different Linux distros or distributions that are listed there. However, Spiral is not one of them, but they do get software from there. Just wanted to let you know that, because this is Debian based, and Debian also gets their software from FlatHub, also Flatpak software. A lot of people will say it's too big, it's bloated, it's heavy. It's a big download, it takes up a lot of space on your drive. That is true. However, it has some things that a lot of people forget about. First of all, those 36 different distributions needed a little bit of compatibility with the software. So that's also built in. Then there's the second item, which a lot of people appeal to, which is it runs in a sandboxed environment, isolated from your system. So the software doesn't need much from your system to run. That's why it's big and bloated, as one would say. That's a big appeal. The third one is sometimes it has newer versions of something. I'll give you one example. So LibreOffice is installed here. It just says word processor, and I want to open it and let you see what version this is. This is 7.4. It has a lot of nice things. LibreOffice in general is a full suite, but this is the writer portion. But it's still version 7.4. This does not save in Microsoft 2010 formats. It will save it in 2007 and then below, but not 2010. If you want that, then you want 7.6 LibreOffice. That is available to you here as Flatpak software, as an example. You can also use Terminal to install software. I did. I installed Simple Screen to record this video. When you're installing software through Terminal, it gets the software from the same sources as Synaptic Package Manager. So Software Store again contains not only that software, but also Flatpak. I think it's run a little over 1,000, maybe 2,000 different pieces of software there. But more importantly, it's all self-contained. And you also have an updater in here. So it's point and click. The first time you use it, be a little bit patient and allow it to build the icons. All right, there's nothing wrong. It's just building your icons. And based on your internet and your computer speed. Let's put it that way. But there's still a lot of software to offer you. Moving along. All right, I talked about the menu icons. I talked about adding these guys. I talked about adding an additional power key. Let's talk about putting icons on our desktop. I'll drag and drop the calculator. It's a calculator, that's all that is. Okay, close. And I'm going to eliminate the icon. What's another way of doing it? All right, we would be right click, add to desktop. All right, we got that so far. I think that's pretty simple stuff. And then we're going to put stuff on the panel. So for your brand new user, some people may call this the dock or a panel or some taskbar. I have heard people use that name, but in either case, it's the panel. So even if you go here, it's referred to as the panel. Okay, that's the settings. All right, right click, add to panel. Anytime you do this with any icon, it puts it right underneath my subscription key, right next to that orange arrow currently. Any of these things, anytime you do this. And then you can right click on it and then hit the green arrow to move it anywhere you see a red line. You see this red line up here? It may be hard for you to see it, but there is a red line appearing here, so I can drop the icon, as they say. Right click, move it. I'll try to stick it next to simple screen. Sometimes it's kind of touchy if I trigger that, but there it is. Right click, move, and I'll move it over here by the menu. Again, these are single clicks. Anything on your desktop is double click, because the desktop behavior is my favorite. Set for double click, not single. I don't like single clicks, but that's another animal. Right click, remove. What's the second option of doing this? Using the same icon, I'm going to drag and drop it here. However, you see this plus key? As soon as I hit the panel, you'll see it disappear until you see a red line. Then you can drop it and create the launcher. And then you can move this thing wherever you want. Wherever a red line appears, let's put it that way. So if I want it over there, don't want it over there, I want it over here somewhere, where's our red line? There's a red line. You get it. You get the idea. Okay. Well, hopefully you get the idea. So that's moving icons. The last item would be right click, of course, add to favorites, and it sticks it in a little star. Then you can, of course, remove it. All right. So let's move on to File Manager. So you're probably going, whoa, that's jumbo. Yeah, let me resize that. And let me actually turn this to default. And I will first return this to default, and then I will talk about the File Manager if you don't mind. I thought I did that before I started filming. All right, so one more thing. Resizing the box itself. So somewhere in there is where default is. So you open this thing up, and that's what you first see. So the first I'm going to talk about is resizing the window or the box. This can also be applied to your software store, your web browsers, and any other window for that matter. All right, the reason I picked this yellow pointer is because one of the features that it has is it's got this feature here where I'm pointing to this line. That line represents the top of the window. I show this quite often just to try to be clear to new users. All right, that window is this line up the top. If I used a black cursor, this will probably blend in this corner. But you just got to remember this. If you're trying to resize, then you want to be here, and you're going up. If you want to do this trick, you need to be below this. Double click, double click, double click. I'm not clicking on any icons. I'm not even clicking on the menu. I'm above the menu. Double click. Click and hold. Full screen. Click and hold and pull down. Again, I need to be away from the top line, just a slight here, but not all the way down here. So click and hold. You can try this yourself. What kind of mouse am I using? Again, this is a tower computer using a wireless mouse. This is a Logitech M585 if you're curious. And the keyboard is also wireless, a K850, also Logitech. You can use wired also devices, but I'm not talking touchpads here today, okay? So we're talking either wired or wireless mice with a standard mouse with a scroll wheel, because I'm going to show you things with the scroll wheel. But first I'm going to talk about resizing and moving. So clicking and holding, I can bounce the window back and forth. I can also grab it, click and push it straight up, and then pull it down. It's all dependent on where you resize this box. So if I got it to dinky, I'll use it the old-fashioned way. Open from maximum to dinky, or double click from maximum to dinky. In other words, from large to small. It doesn't matter. Okay, we need to resize the box. You can do it in the corner if you're good. Sometimes it's very touchy, as you can see, so that's why I like to right click and resize. Not always, but I sometimes aim for the corner myself. Let's talk about this stuff. Edit, preferences. Do you like the way these are viewed, or would you like it in an icon view? Then change that. Do you like the size of these icons? Because you can actually go really humongous. Let's go with something more reasonable. Even that's too big. But it depends on your screen resolution, right? That's true. It does. So 48 looks okay for me. Now, I'm clicking this for a reason. My last channel, I had one user that did not decide to watch my video in its entirety, and they skipped this part. And they click that, and then they try to perform some of the stuff I'm going to show you. And they said it didn't work, and sent me a message. So I asked him a question. Where was your behavior for your file manager set? Well, he went back and checked. He said single, and I said that's why. It was clearly indicated in my video that I was using double click. That's because if you click this, this outcome can be different than if you do that. It was a different operating system. I'm sorry, different desktop, but still. Just wanted to emphasize, this is Spiral's default. A lot of Linux distros also default to double click. Some do not. I wish they would. I don't prefer single click on any of my Linux distributions, and I use quite a few. Now I'm going to continue. So that's obviously too big, so we're going to kind of pull that in a little bit. But now I'm going to close and reopen because I changed something. I changed the way it views the icons. But I'll keep the size of the box. Again, you can also resize. How do we resize these? Well, I'm going to first show you my way, then I'll show you the system way. You'll probably agree my way is faster. I can go from dinky to jumbo in less than a half a second. Okay? I'm going to resize these on the fly, just to let you see that I'm playing with it. You can certainly click, zoom in, out, and normal. You can also, a lot of people get confused with this one. What does this Control plus KP plus mean? That means hold down your Control key and repeatedly hit the plus key. Hold down the Control key and repeatedly hit the minus key. To go back to the normal size is hold down the Control key and hit 0 on your keyboard. So those are the upper row keys normally, 0, minus, and plus. I'm eliminating all that by holding down my Control key and scrolling with my computer mouse. That's what I was referring to the scroll wheel. Holding down the Control key while still holding down the Control key, scrolling forward, scrolling back, and in between. All right, with that said, I'm going to let go of the Control key because I like this size. Let's open up pictures. So the file manager is set for double click, right? So I can click on an image and hit the space bar. So this particular tool is different in some other distributions for Xfces. A lot of different Xfces use different image viewers. This is this one. It looks like a coffee cup. Okay, but more importantly, I'm going to resize that by pulling it down. We have a play button. It plays a slideshow. We can also go the forward image in front of it and back of it. All I'm doing is clicking that to see this image and that one. Okay, now you can see the two images. I also have the plus, 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 minus, 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 100%, fit to screen, and then we go jumbo with full screen. All right, F11 to resize. You can also use escape on this window. In a web browser, let me do this while I'm in here. Holding down the Control key, scrolling up, to 500%. Scrolling back, I'm still holding the control key, folks, to 30%. I want to get in between somewhere where it looks nice to me. 130 is good right now. Maybe on a laptop I want to be at 90. That's all up to you. It depends on your screen resolution. Alright, so I will go to the same thing I started with. Do you see the panel down below? Watch what happens when I hit F11. You see no panel now. It's screen top to bottom. That's what F11 does. In a web browser and also in here. Okay, that's the same key as this. That's like an F11. F11 to reduce that down. Holding down the control key, scrolling backwards to zoom is the same thing as me clicking, but you can see I can do this faster by holding down the control key and scrolling. Alright, now I'm going to hold down the Alt key and scroll through different images. So basically I am scrolling through these images by holding down the Alt key and scrolling. I'm at the mushroom, and if I scroll one, it's this one, and then I'll scroll to this one, then that one, then the last one here, and then I'll scroll the other way. Now I'm at the mushrooms, and it's still in that size, so I'm going to reduce it by holding down the control key until I can see it. Then I'm going to switch my hand over to the Alt key, and then scroll to this image, and that image, and that image, and I can do this rather quickly. Here's another feature for you. Hit the spacebar. I'm currently on this image. Now it goes to that one, and if I hit the spacebar again, it goes to this butterfly. Then the Xfce, which is in Iceland. I've been there many times as a kid, and then I hit the spacebar, double click, and we get some different things happening, right? All right. So you can also just double click on these things. Spacebar, 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 or play button, or click it this way. Holding down the control key, zooming in and out. Do it the old-fashioned way, click, click, click. You can also go in here and do the control plus plus, control negative negative. So basically control plus plus negative negative negative. It takes me all day to do this. So that's why I like the scroll wheel. And again, don't forget about the Alt, scrolling forward, backwards. Okay. So this window can be closed by the X, obviously, that's self-explanatory, but a lot of folks don't know about the keyboard shortcuts. So Control W is one of them, and also Alt and 4 is not listed in here, but you can use Alt and F4 to close that. Let's change the wallpaper, because Spiral only gives you one wallpaper. I will right-click and create that as wallpaper. Okay, something weird. How's that for you? So if I wanted to go back to my Spiral wallpaper, right-click, Desktop Settings, and the first thing people will probably think, oh, let me resize this box. Okay, so you can see it a little bit bigger, is they go into the folder going, it's probably in Backgrounds, and you can see that's empty. So where is the wallpaper located? It's not located in Backgrounds, unfortunately. I would, as a developer for Spiral, I would probably look into that, but maybe they have their reasons. It's in Wallpaper, actually. It is still in USR Share, though. So scroll down to the bottom or just hit W and look for Wallpapers with an S. There's where the Spiral wallpaper is. Okay. Right-click. What do we want to use for wallpaper? Again, bring in those photos, your grandkids, your kids, your pets, your friends, or download some wallpaper off the internet. It's always fun to have different wallpapers to stare at. Okay, now I'm going to do one more little trick for you, and then I think I'm going to call it good. So I'm going to right-click on the desktop and create a URL link. I call that a poor man's web icon. I'm going to do one for Amazon.com. Just type in anything you want for a name. I'm just going to use the proper one. However, the URL can be also copied in from web browsers, but you can hand type it also. The web address is the URL, www.amazon.com. I'll leave the star and hit create and double click. This should go to Amazon.com. Ooh, a little risque image there. Anyways, you can hold down your control key and scroll in and out to resize it on the fly. You can also open up tabs in here. However, when you do open up tabs, they will go away as soon as you close this and reopen. It just goes directly to Amazon. But I left it in the resized wherever I had it. If you want to do this from a web browser, if you want to copy an address, let's do SpiralLinux. I'm going to copy the whole address by highlighting it and right-clicking and copying the address. Then I'm going to close the browser. I'm going to right-click, create URL link, paste the URL link by right-clicking and pasting, and we'll just use SP for the identification of Spiral. And now pick an icon. It can be anything you want. Anything. I'll even use, I'll use that. Okay, double click. Still goes to Spiral, doesn't matter. So again, they have several desktops. I'm using Xfce today. You got Cinnamon, Gnome, Plasma, Mate, excuse me, Mate. My Argentinian wife reminds me of that once in a while. Mate is a nice beverage. Budgie, LXQT, and Builder. Okay? And then I'll close the window and say thank you for watching.